Hello, Balls. My name's the one and only, and disaster has struck. The Patriots are in the Super Bowl again. We're going to go in chronological order of how the games played, so we're going to go Broncos versus Patriots, then talk about Rams versus Seahawks. And talking about Patriots versus Broncos, that was a terrible viewing experience. In basically every single way, the offenses were terrible outside of one deep shot by Jarrett Stidham to Marvin Mims. Drake May has been pretty bad this entire playoff run. I thought he was fine against the Chargers. Really bad today. Really bad against the Texans. I guess he was fine as a passer against the Texans, but my God, his pocket presence has been a problem the entire playoffs. Sticking to this game specifically, I think a lot of it's going to get blamed on the weather. But their offense, and Drake May specifically, was playing really badly even prior to the weather going to dog shit. So I don't think you can put too much blame on the weather for just how bad Drake May and the passing offense was for the Patriots. To give Drake May some credit, him as a runner was the best thing for their offense all day, and that's what ultimately won them the game. He got them the touchdown on the ground. He got that last first down to ice the game. So I will give him a little bit of credit as a runner, but as a playmaker, his pocket presence wasn't good enough. He's just not good at dealing with pressure right now. It's also harder when you're going against three of the best pressure teams back to back to back, and now he's going against the Seahawks. That's not going to get any easier. But I do think that's a problem. I don't think he played well. I don't think his accuracy and his athletic ability has been able to shine through in the playoffs as much as you want it to. I don't think he was a good decision maker. He's not making decisions fast enough. Everything has to be open. Everything has to be a clear read. And a lot of this is going to come with experience. He needs to be a better anticipatory thrower. He needs to not see things open. He needs to not see the pressure to be able to react to it. Like, he needs to know when pressure is coming backside. He needs to navigate in the pocket better. He needs to just move in the pocket better. He just gets back there and he stands unless he takes off to run. He's not someone that's good at moving off his spot to make a throw. He was in the regular season, but he's been bad at that in the playoffs. Getting off of his spot to go make a pass instead of run. I feel like everything's too much for him right now, and he really needs to settle down. Hopefully this bye week going into the Super Bowl can help him readjust. But in the playoffs, everything's slow. He's still accurate, but just the decision making, how fast everything is for him. Like, it seems like he's a rookie again, which in some ways he is. This is the first time he's ever played in the playoffs. Quarterback's first time in the playoffs tends to be bad, but it's been really bad. And this is someone who probably should have been MVP, in my opinion. He definitely has to get better. I think he will, in the future, in different playoff runs. I don't know how much you could bank on it going into the Super Bowl, but yeah, he's been bad basically the entire time in the playoffs. Fortunately for him, the defense has been playing the best that any defense has played so far this playoffs. They have completely shut down the Chargers, the Texans, and now the Broncos. Obviously not exactly an all-star slate of offenses. The Chargers with just Justin Herbert and a bunch of guys out there, the worst offensive line you've ever seen. The Chargers shouldn't be putting up a bunch of points against your defense if you're going to be a playoff team. And sure, CJ Stroud played one of the worst games you're ever going to see a quarterback play, and the weather factored in a bunch, but you do have to give credit to the Patriots offense, or to the Patriots defense, forcing 30 turnovers. Christian Barmore and Milton, their defensive tackles, might be the best defensive tackle duo in the entire NFL. They're just killing teams. They were killing the interior of the Broncos' offensive line. And the Broncos might have the best offensive line in the NFL. And Christian Barmore and Milton were just abusing them play after play after play. K'Lavon Chaisson has been a really good edge rusher the entire season. He's like one of the best reclamation projects we've seen from a defensive player in a long time. Because I'm a Jaguars fan. Like, I watched a lot of Caleb Chason when he was on the Jaguars, and he was bad basically the entire time. He was abused in the run, and he just wasn't a good enough pass rusher to make up for just the lack of size. He's able to get to the passer, he can make game changing plays, he can force a turnover, he can get sacks, and he's not nearly as bad of a run defender as he used to be. Now he might even be a slight positive. Like, his turnaround has been incredible. Every single level of the defense is good, especially their DBs. I mean, Christian Gonzalez, he honestly could be the best corner in the NFL any given season. Obviously, you still got to give it to Patrick Surtain and Derek Stingley to some extent, but Gonzalez is as talented a corner as anybody. Carlton Davis is a good cornerback too. They got good safeties. All of their like free agent young pieces are playing as good as you could possibly expect them to play. Every single aspect of the team is well coached, and just that defense is playing at an unbelievable level at all levels. I mean, their run defense has just been killer. Now, to be fair, they have gone up against three really bad rush offenses. That probably factors in, and it's going to be tougher against K9 and the Seahawks. But they're also just killing opposing offenses in basically the most brutal ways possible. They've just been dominant every single snap, every single play. They've forced so many turnovers. I mean, it was 5 against the Patriots. They made Justin Herbert played maybe the worst game he's ever played. I think he was even worse than when he threw 4 picks against the Texans. I think this game was worse, even though he did throw as many interceptions. This Patriots defense is genuinely killer, is going to be the best defense the Seahawks have faced in the playoffs by a wide margin. I think the Rams are a fine defense, and the 49ers are an atrociously bad playoff defense. So that's something really going for them. Just every single player on the Patriots defense has been playing good football. The Broncos offense, Jarrett Stidham, really bad game by Jarrett Stidham. He threw that first deep shot in the first quarter, and I'm like, oh my god, they're going to do it. Sean Payton's going to bullshit his way into a Super Bowl appearance. And then that fumble happened, and every single play after that was just utter dog shit. He was not able to settle down after that. He seemed flustered and overwhelmed every single snap after that. He's a backup quarterback. He's someone that can do good stuff, but you're always waiting some absolute dumb shit. And you were just hoping to survive for enough of the game without him making just an abysmal mistake. Just gifted the Patriots their only touchdown, and then the weather hit, and then just no team could move the ball an inch. Every single punt was for like 12 yards. No one was getting first downs. Like, the Broncos got 1 first down in the second half. I think the Patriots got like 2 or 3. Or I guess they got a field goal in that first drive. But just overall, the second half was disgusting. The offense was abysmal. Cortland Sutton dropped a pass on either their first or second drive that Stidham just put right on the money, and they had to punt that drive. So I don't think Cortland Sutton had a very good game. Again, there was really only that one option. But when a game has so little opportunities to do stuff offensively, you have to capitalize on every single opportunity. A lot has been talked about Sean Payton's decision to kick the field goal or to not kick the field goal and went for it on 4th down. I think that's the decision you make in that situation. You can't predict the weather's going to be one of the worst weather games all season. I understand you somewhat expect the weather not to be good. You probably knew a little bit that there was a chance that it might snow. I just don't think you can anticipate the weather getting that bad that quickly. And it's always good to chase points. You want to score as many points as you possibly can. And if they get that first down and they score a touchdown instead of a field goal, they win the game. Like, sure, If they kick the field goal, maybe it goes into overtime. But if they score the touchdown, they win the game. So I don't think you can blame the decision to go for it for the reason they lost that game. That was a good decision. If you want to blame Sean Payton for anything, blame the play call. I thought the play call was kind of dumb. Deep downfield passing, or like hunting for big plays on fourth down. Get the first down, do a quick out, do a quick little man beater. Just do something. Do a goal line play. Do your best goal line play. You're getting a yard. And I understand the defense is adjusted to just don't let them get the first down. Stop them short of the sticks. So taking the deep shot might be good in some instances because they're not prepared for it. They're not expecting it. They're defending short yardage situations. But you have Stidham. You have a great offensive line. I understand the Patriots have a good defensive line. So you can definitely criticize the play call, but the call to go for it was the right decision in my opinion. Other than that, I thought Sean Payton did about as good as you can ask him to do. He was really cooking to start the game. Unfortunately, Stidham, an idiot. That fumble is one of the dumbest decisions you're going to see a quarterback make. People saying that should have been an incomplete pass. He threw it at the 15. It landed at the 13. That's an obvious fumble, and that should have been a touchdown for the Patriots. So, just an absolute disaster play by Stidham. RJ Harvey, very inefficient on the ground, but man, he looks good today. He might be a guy going forward. No one can tackle him. He was the only player that can move even remotely well, even in the snow. Like, he was cutting, he was making people miss, he was juking people out. No one could tackle him one-on-one. He played a fantastic game, so all credit to him. He had 17 touches for 59 yards, and I think he played an incredible game. Like, the best offensive player by either team by a wide margin. Yeah, it was just a tale of defenses, and the Patriots' defense was just a little bit better today, and that's basically the entirety of it. Now for Rams versus Seahawks. Maybe the best playoff game so far. I mean, there's been a lot of great ones, but this one in particular. I mean, every single Rams-Seahawks game has been a masterpiece. Just absolutely incredible. Every single great player was making great plays all game. I mean, Matthew Stafford played by far his best playoff game, and considering he was going against maybe the best defense in the NFL, maybe the best game any quarterback has played this playoffs, it's tough to say that when Sam Darnold played just as good a game on the other side. Both of the quarterbacks played great. Blake Corum played great. Kyron Williams, he was okay. But Puka and JSN put forth one of the best wide receiver duels you're ever going to see in the playoffs. I think the two best wide receivers in the NFL. I'd take them over Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase right now. Absolutely incredible. Puka just has the best ball skills of anybody in the NFL. And JSN, definitely the best route runner of anybody in the NFL. Just two absolute demons that will break every single game they play in open. Just the best weapons you can possibly have in the NFL. And Devontae Adams also had a really good game. He was just beating corners off the line. He got the deep shot. He got the touchdown. He made some huge plays. Devontae Adams, maybe my favorite player in NFL history. So I was rooting for the Rams, but I was at least happy to see him have a really good game. Colby Parkinson did have that really bad drop where Uchenna Nwosu was able to just tip it, and he wasn't able to corral it afterwards. But he played well even with that drop. He was able to make some big plays, like doing the deep overs, and Matthew Stafford just layering it over every single defensive player every single time just perfectly. Matthew Stafford played a damn near perfect game. The Rams offense played about as good as you can expect them to play against the Seahawks defense, which is just absolutely incredible, super talented, literally every single where on the defense. They don't have a weak spot on their defense, and to put up 27, almost put up 34, could have put up 30 if they weren't down by 4 points Offense, absolutely incredible. Like the Bomani Jones talking point that Matthew Stafford should get like criticized, and there's no chance he could ever make the Hall of Fame if he doesn't win the Super Bowl this year was like obviously stupid at the time, but is now even more stupid when he played maybe a better game than anybody has this playoffs and lost anyways. That was a really dumb talking point. Um, yeah, every single offensive player played great. Their offensive line even held up really well considering they were going up against the Seahawks defense. I mean, Kevin Dotson might be the best offensive lineman in the NFL at right guard. Just absolute, like you can see the difference in made having him versus not having him in the playoffs and to end the regular season. It's just night and day how much better the offense functions when Kevin Dotson is out there. The fact that the Steelers let him go is insane, and now he's on the Seahawks, being the best guard in the NFL. It's that's insane. You have to feel for Xavier Smith, like maybe the biggest special teams blunder anyone has had all playoffs. Just trying to backpedal to catch the ball and you just slip and fall. That's that's devastating. And there's a real chance he's not going to be on the team because of that going forward, because he's really only a special teams guy, and you can't make that big of a problem or that big of a mistake on special teams in this game. Not to mention, every single year, Sean McVay's team just happens to have the worst special teams units in the entire Shanahan tree. Shanahan, the San Francisco 49ers special teams always suck. McVay's special teams always suck. The Packers are the worst special teams unit year after year after year. For some reason, that Shanahan tree hates the special teams. And that's the biggest reason they lost this game. A lot of people complained. I'm like jumping around. A lot of people were complaining about the taunting. The ref literally told him to stop doing that. He continued to do it. I don't think taunting is a penalty that should be in the NFL, but also, I don't feel bad for you. You're being an idiot. The ref told you to stop doing it. You continue to do it. Stop doing that and you won't get called for a 15-yard penalty. I understand that taunting shouldn't be in the NFL. Just don't be an idiot. If you're not an idiot, that doesn't happen. And then to immediately give up the touchdown to Puka on the double move. Absolute diabolical. Sean McVay, absolute asshole for that. Evil guy, Sean McVay, for just picking on him while he's down. But at the end of the day, be smarter, have better coverage. Neither of those things happened. Now to talk about the Seahawks offense. Sam Darnold played basically a perfect game. Jackson Smith and Jigma played basically a perfect game. He played as good a receiver game as you could play. Both him and Puka, just incredible. Kenneth Walker has been playing like an absolute superstar in the playoffs and down the stretch of the regular season. He is maximizing every single touch he has. There is no shot any Rams player could ever tackle him. If it was a one-on-one opportunity, K9 made him look stupid every single time. And if you thought he was corralled and there was no shot he was going to get any more yards, time after time he would get 3 more yards. Just absolute incredible game. He averaged 3.3 yards a carry and is one of the best games a running back has played this year. He also had 49 yards through the air. Just absolutely incredible. Puka made some clutch catches in this game. He scored the touchdown. He got the first down. Although Sean McVay should have challenged that instead of calling the timeout. I don't think he actually got the first down. But they called it a first down, and it was a good play by Cooper Kupp nonetheless. He played a good game. He played a great role player wide receiver game. Rashid Shaheed, after doing the kick return touchdown last week, did the big 51-yard catch in this game. He didn't really do anything outside of that. But, again, he's a role-playing wide receiver. One big 51-yard catch is about as much as you can ask for from a wide receiver 3. I mean, Jake Bobo doing, like, not being a factor at all throughout the entire season, and then just routing up Kobe. Was that Kobe Durant? I think it was Durant. Was it? No, it was Kobe Durant. Was it Quentin Lake? It was Kobe Durant or Quentin Lake. One of them got absolutely cooked by Jake Bobo to score the touchdown. So like you have to credit every single aspect of the Seahawks offense. Hell, even Halani made a play or two. Um, so just yeah, the offense of the Seahawks played just an incredible game. Sam Darnold, one of the best stories you're going to see out of a quarterback in the NFL. Like maybe it's not Kurt Warner level, but it's about as good as you can get outside of the Kurt Warner, Warren Moon type of players. Just to come off of being a super talented but just bad bust quarterback on the Jets, to go to the 49ers, learn under Shanahan a bit, just get more poised, get more comfortable in the pocket, go to the Vikings and just skyrocket your value, play or have a great season, to just then suck to end the season, play a disaster game against the Lions, and play a disaster game against the Rams in the playoffs, and then to go sign for the Seahawks. A lot of people were mad, thought they should have kept Geno instead of Sam. And then the Seahawks, they win 14 games. Sam Darnold has a good season, and he just plays great in the playoffs against the same Rams team that knocked him out last season. Just absolutely incredible. Mike McDonald is one of, if not the best coaches in the NFL going forward. Like, I wouldn't trade him for any other coach of the NFL. Like, you can offer me Liam Cohen, I'm saying no. Offer me Ben Johnson, I'm laughing in your face. Kyle Shanahan, I'm spitting on you. Like, Mike McDonald might be the best coach asset in the NFL going forward. Every aspect of the Seahawks team, absolutely incredible. I mean, Nick Imanari is going to be a superstar. I wouldn't be that shocked if he has like a crazy defensive player of the year season in his career. He could be one of those like era defining safeties like an Ed Reed or a Troy Polamalu. Obviously, maybe that's too much praise. Maybe that's too much pressure to put on a guy in his rookie year. But like, he's so much better than I thought he was going to be. Like he's good and like he's so sound. He's super good in coverage. He can mirror better than basically every single safety in the NFL. He's good in zone coverage. He's good in man coverage. He's good in run defense. He can come down. He can hit. He can tackle. He's good at everything. He gave up like 2 catches for 6 yards. And he was just good in coverage all game. I think the best defensive player for the Seahawks was him today. DeMarcus Lawrence, outside of getting trucked by Matthew Stafford on a 4th and 1, also played a pretty good game. The Rams were able to run the ball on the Seahawks a lot better than I was expecting. They were doing like a delayed draw, was able to get like 15 yards on the Seahawks defense multiple times. Like they were able to widen out the Seahawks defensive line, making them think it was a pass play. So like they were trying to round the corner, and they just left a wide open gap for, I think one was to Kyron and one was to Corum, and just easy 10-yard gains multiple times in this game. And I thought that was really smart by Sean McVay, especially considering how good the passing game was today. Like you can tell the Seahawks were definitely putting more pressure and like more emphasis on stopping the pass than they were stopping the run in this game. And Sean McVay was able to utilize that to his advantage multiple times. Just 2 great coaches, 2 incredibly talented teams. This is probably the Super Bowl going forward. I think both of these teams are better than either the Patriots or the Broncos. So I think going into it, I kind of view this as the Super Bowl. My mind hasn't changed about that. I think the Seahawks is one of the better teams in recent history. Like, obviously, the Eagles last year is as good a team as you're going to see win the Super Bowl outside of a team that has a superstar quarterback. But prior to that, I think they're comparable to any of the Chiefs teams They're comparable to the Rams team that won the Super Bowl. They're comparable to the last Patriots teams that won the Super Bowl, to that last Broncos team that won a Super Bowl. They're as talented and as good a team as basically any team that's not the Eagles that has won a Super Bowl recently. I understand those Chiefs teams have Patrick Mahomes, the Broncos and the Patriots teams. They had Tom Brady, the Rams have Stafford, and Sam Darnold's just not as good as those guys. So maybe you don't want to say that the team is as good, but neither is Jalen Hurts, and that team was definitely as good or better than those teams. So I'm super high on the Seahawks. I think they could. I think they could win this Super Bowl and then win the next Super Bowl very easily after that. They're so talented. They're so well coached. Every single aspect of this team is just great. I love the Seahawks. I grew up a Packers fan. I used to hate the Seahawks, but I really like this team. Just like every single aspect is likable. They got no hateable guys on their team. A lot of good stories. I think Mike McDonald has done such an incredible job. And the Seahawks are going to win the Super Bowl. Now that we're done talking about the NFC Championship games, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the coaching hires that have been made across the NFL. We can start with the most recent news that Mike McCarthy is going to be the head coach of the Steelers. Like I said, I'm a Packer fan. The fact that Mike McCarthy is still getting head coaching opportunities is absolutely insane. He hasn't done a great job as a head coach, maybe ever. Like, I know he won a Super Bowl, but he was such like an Aaron Rodgers and just talent merchant on every single team he's been on. Like, he completely skated by on having Aaron Rodgers and having Dak Prescott. Him as a head coach is entirely dependent on who he hires as a coordinator. I don't think he's like that great of a leader. Does this mean they're bringing back Rodgers? Like, what are they going to do? This is such a dumb hire. Like, I don't understand. He's only hired because he's from Pittsburgh. I don't think this helps any aspect of the team. I don't think the offense gets better. The defense definitely doesn't get better. Why? There's a sliding scale on what it means to be mid. Mike Tomlin was on the higher end of mid. Like, you'll win a bunch of games with Mike Tomlin. Your team will be well coached. You're not going to be as forward-thinking schematically or in your decision-making, but you're going to be well coached and you're going to skate by on having veteran, well-coached talents, and Mike Tomlin is going to be good enough to get you to that. And then there's Mike McCarthy, who's on the lower end of mid. He can help you be a fine team. You're never going to get over the hump with Mike McCarthy, and he's not going to carry you schematically, but he's a fine leader. He can hire okay coordinators. He can build a decent staff. He's like a C- if I've ever seen one. He is someone that purely exists as a head coach in the NFL. The only thought process for hiring Mike McCarthy has to be, we don't like any of the other candidates. We want to hire a lame duck head coach that we can fire in a year to hopefully in a better coordinator and a better coaching carousel. Because if Mike McCarthy is their long-term solution, burn the entire franchise to the ground. That's so dumb. I'm not a Steelers fan, so I'm just going to laugh at it and find it funny. But I feel bad for Steelers fans. Because it's so dumb. The Titans, they hired Robert Saleh to be their head coach going forward. And like I said, when there's a sliding scale of mid, and you had Mike McCarthy on the bottom end, Robert Saleh is as good as you can be as a mid coach. I don't think he's going to change anything for the Titans, but I definitely think he's good. He's a top half of the league head coach probably. I think he'll be around that 16 range, the entire time he's in Tennessee. That's about what I thought of him the entire time he was out the Jets. Now maybe he can get away from that Jets franchise that loves to shoot itself in the foot, and it's just a horribly mismanaged team every single year. And he can go to the Titans and build a culture, help develop Cam Ward, and they can build for the future. Titans aren't exactly a well-run franchise either. I mean, they do the thing where every other year, they'll take turns firing their GM and head coach, so that there's no cohesion, there's no collective vision going forward. So I don't think the Titans are a particularly well-run franchise. If I'm Salah, I'm probably holding out for a better opportunity. But Salah is never going to be like a top of the line option. So maybe this is like the best chance you can get at like building a long-term head coaching career. As with the Titans, bank on Cam Ward and then fix the defense. But it's a C plus hire for a C plus job opening. It makes sense. As someone who roots for the Jaguars, I'm not like scared of Robert Saleh. He's fine. I think he's been like, I think he's a C plus head coach. Like you can win with a C plus head coach. I would have rather taken a shot on a young offensive guy. Like if you could have got Kubiak, I'm getting Kubiak. I would have brought in Mike McDaniel. I would have brought in Kevin Stefanski. I understand Kevin Stefanski's not the most highly thought of coach. I would have brought him in just to maximize Cam Ward because Cam Ward's more important than who you're going to hire at head coach, most likely. So I would have done everything to maximize him as a player. So I don't love the hire. I think he's perfectly fine. The New York Giants hired John Harbaugh to be their head coach. Not only did they hire John Harbaugh to be their coach, they got Denard Wilson, the last Titans defensive coordinator, to be their DC, and it looks like Todd Monken is going to be the offensive coordinator for the Giants. I think those are good hires. I guess I did just talk about how the Titans were not a good defensive unit, so maybe banking on the Titans defensive coordinator to like come in and help an underperforming Giants defense. I don't know how much you could bank on that. I mean, he's a lot better than Wink Martindale was for the Giants, so it's a coordinator upgrade. I think Todd Monken is a really good OC. I don't think he's like elite as an offensive coordinator, but I think he's a good one. I think he's going to come in and help maximize the offense. He's going to help maximize Dart. He can help Dart both in the run game and the pass game. The only thing you really have to focus on is just making sure Dart isn't too much of an idiot. Slide, run out of bounds, stop taking helmet-to-helmet hits. Like, don't be suicidal at the age of 24. We need you for at least the next 6 years as a viable quarterback. Be smarter. Get Cam Scatabo back. Him, Tracy, Singletary. Like, a pretty good running back room. You'll get Neighbors back next season. I think the offense is going to get a lot better. Simply having the players there. Hopefully Andrew Thomas is healthy for the year. Hopefully Malik Neighbors' athleticism isn't sapped at all from the injury. Hopefully not. Malik Neighbors is like a freak athlete and is going to be a superstar wide receiver as long as he's healthy. So I do think the team is going to get better next season. I think both the offense and defense will improve. I just think John Harbaugh has such a low ceiling as a head coach, like going forward. I don't think he's good at game script, game management. He's not good at timeout usage. He's not as aggressive as he should be. He's very conservative as a head coach. He's very inconsistent when it comes to the coordinator hires. I mean, he hired Monken. I think he's good. I think the Titans Titans defensive coordinator being their new defensive coordinator, I think that has the potential to work out. Like, I don't think the Titans were doing, like, stupid things defensively. I just don't think they were very talented. Honestly, that's the biggest mistake the Giants made this offseason is just not firing Joe Shane and trying to get, um, like, a different young, fresh mind to come in and be the GM of the team. I think Jeff Hafley, I kind of feel the same with Jeff Hafley as I do Robert Saleh. I think it's like, oh, it's a fine hire. I do think the defense for the Giants is going to get better. Although Anthony Weaver, not a bad defensive coordinator by any means, so I don't know if the defense is going to like skyrocket in production and overall performance. But I do really like Jeff Hafley. I think he's a good defensive mind. He's not Mentor Shula or Brian Flores, so he won't be like on the top of my list as defensive guys this offseason. But he's good enough, I think, to have a head coaching job. There was 10 job openings, and I think he was one of the 10 best options. I don't think he's an incredible option. I think he can perform with the Dolphins. I think obviously drafting is super important, as it is for literally every single team and every single head coach. But the Dolphins are kind of lacking at overall talent, especially the depth of their talent. Just isn't very good. They need to improve their offensive line. They need to get a new quarterback because Tua just can't be your quarterback going into next season. Their running backs, their running backs are great. Devon Achane, superstar running back, maybe my favorite running back in the NFL. He's a stud. I love watching him play. It's like watching Chris Johnson, who is one of my two favorite running backs of all time. I love it. I love two types of running backs. One that are just super fast, just faster than everybody else in the NFL. And I love the big old meatballs. Like Maurice Jones-Drew is my favorite running back in NFL history. And I love it. And I love that they kind of have both of them. They have Devon Achane and Jalen Wright, who are their speed demons to just home run hitters. And they also have Ollie Gordon, who's just a big old meathead, just slamming into guys repeatedly. And that's how you got to build out a running back room. That's real football. I want to see what they do with Jalen Waddle. I want to see what happens with Tyreek Hill. If Tyreek Hill is brought back and how good Tyreek Hill is going to be, even if he is brought back. His knee exploded. It was turned 90 degrees sideways. It was an awful sight. And then he like Joker laughed as he left the field. I don't think he's very happy with the Dolphins franchise, but I don't think you're going to get any value, like literally any value for him in a trade. So it's basically you either go with him on the roster into next season, or he's off of the team, so you're going to need to get better pass catching options. Like, who knows if Darren Waller is going to be on the team next season, so you probably need more tight end help. If it's just Jalen Waddle out there, you need more receiver help. If you trade Jalen Waddle, you desperately need better receiver help. All of that on top of like really needing a quarterback. I don't know how well Jeff Hafley is built up to succeed going forward. I don't really think Bobby Slowick is in a position to succeed going forward. We're going to have to see if the GM can just knock it out of the park. It is a bit of a weaker draft. We'll see. Maybe they can get Mekhi Lemon or just one of the receivers in the draft. Maybe they go for the Oregon tight end. I don't think they're going to have any chance of getting like an actual quarterback option unless they want to make the most reactionary, desperate Drew Aller selection of all time. So, it's a fine hire for a bad head coaching job opportunity. I don't know if he's going to be there for the long haul, unfortunately. Honestly, a move that is as important as any head coaching hire in the offseason is Mike McDaniel being the offensive coordinator for the Chargers. I mean, Justin Herbert's life is going to get a billion times better. He might throw for 5,000 yards again simply on the fact he doesn't have an idiot calling offensive plays. Like Greg Roman, he's such a dinosaur in the modern NFL. He's not someone that can build out a good passing game. If you want to run a read option a billion times, then yeah, he can do that really well. He can scheme up a good run game. Can he build off that run game to be a good passing game without entirely relying on the quarterback carrying every single facet of the passing offense? No. He is such a Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert merchant in recent history. And honestly, I think Kaepernick was a better passer than he ever got to showcase simply because Greg Roman is an idiot. He should not be a coordinator at this point. Maybe he can come in and be a good running back position coach. But he's not someone that should be calling plays for an NFL team. And just the gap and just the gap schematically between him and Mike McDaniel is the biggest upgrade you're going to see in the entire NFL. If the Chargers can go into next season having Amorian Hampton be healthy all year, Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater being healthy all year, maybe Lan McConkey gets a year better. Maybe they even add a receiver in their draft or whatever. Maybe even get a little bit better on the interior of the offensive line. They can go into next season and having a true elite top 5 unit. Because I do still believe in Herbert, even though he's dog shit in the playoffs every year. I just still believe him as a talent. Like, I'm just not going to ignore all of that talent because he's had 3 like bad playoff games. So I think this offense is going to be elite next season. Like truly one of the best units. And if the defense can maintain even to like a pretty good level what their defense has been under Jesse Minter, then they could be real Super Bowl contenders next season. The Ravens have hired Jesse Minter to be their next head coach. I feel like this one was obvious. He's been a coach for the Ravens before. He has the heavy Harbaugh connection. He has a good relationship with the franchise as a whole. He knows how to use the defensive personnel. Kyle Hamilton might be Defensive Player of the Year next season because he just has a way better defensive mind with Jesse Minter going forward. He knows how to use his personnel. He knows how to use a great safety room. I mean, Derwin James has been better than he's ever been with Jesse Minter the past couple of years. He knows how to maximize talent. You need to build out that pass rush desperately because every defense is going to be a bad defense if you have one of the worst pass rushing units in the NFL, which the Ravens do. But even that, I do expect Jesse Minter to help with that a good amount. Also, hopefully Matt Abike comes back next season. God knows what's going to happen with him going forward. But if he's back, the pass rush, just in talent, is going to take a big step forward. Plus, I think it's going to build better pass rushing paths for the pass rushers. I think it's going to be able to blitz more effectively. Hopefully, his more aggressive blitzing. I think the run defense is going to get better. I think Zach Orr did always do a very good job scheming for the run game. I thought his defense was always like way too wide. Like the front seven was just way too wide. And they put so much pressure on the linebackers to just clean up the run game entirely by themselves. Roquan Smith wasn't as good last season as he's been in years past. But especially in the run game, I think he was hung out to dry a lot of the season. I do think he's regressed, but I don't think he's regressed as bad as the play would like showcase this past season. I think Jesse Minter is going to get better play out of Roquan Smith and that linebacking unit as a whole. I think the secondary is going to look way better than it has this year. I think the pass rush is going to be better. I don't think it's going to be elite because their talent is very, very far from elite as a pass rush unit, but I do think it's going to get better. I want to see who they hire as OC because if they can get a good OC, then they can jump right back into being like true top tier Super Bowl contenders um, going forward. I think Lamar Jackson does give you such a high floor offensively. I was just talking about how much of an idiot Greg Roman is as an offensive coordinator, and he won a unanimous MVP with Greg Roman as his coordinator. So I think, I think you can just hire a C offensive coordinator, and you're going to be bare minimum an A minus offense. You're going to be a top 10 offense simply because Lamar Jackson is on your team. Sean McDermott got fired by the Bills. I'm kind of curious to see what Sean McDermott does because I actually think he'd be a fantastic defensive coordinator. I thought the Bills' defense honestly kind of overperforms their talent a lot of the time. I think Sean McDermott's the only reason they're ever a good defense in the regular season, and just the talent gets exposed come playoff time because a lot of times talent is just more important than coaching in the playoffs unless you have just like a full idiot like Kevin Patullo. Like like if you have a coordinator that can just be fine, then talent just becomes way more important than coaching. Now, if you have great coaching and great talent, then you get like Mike McDonald for the Seahawks. Like you get that pairing that's just incredible, and you can be like superstar teams. I'm rambling. I'm talking about nonsense. I think Sean McDermott would be a really good defensive coordinator. I think he's really good in the secondary. I think the GM Brandon Bean, one of the worst GMs in the NFL. Everything super incompetent. Every single front office member and owner of the Bills is just taking turns throwing Keon Coleman under the bus. Just a disaster from every single aspect of a team. I mean, I don't think they do a good job building out the roster. I don't think they're a good leadership. Just every single aspect of the Bills is just completely disgusting. So I think they're just throwing Sean McDermott, a pretty good head coach, under the bus. I think Sean McDermott's going to be head coach again. And if he isn't, then he can spend the next 10 to 15 years being like a Steve Spagnuolo, just a game-changing defensive coordinator with a great offensive head coach. I think I I think you can win a Super Bowl with Sean McDermott. I don't think he's an elite head coach, but I think he's good enough. And I think he's really being scapegoated by the Bills. The last head coach hire is Kevin Stefanski for the Falcons. I think this is a pretty good hire. I know Kevin Stefanski is hated mostly by Shadur Sanders fans. Um, I don't think that's fair. I think Kevin Stefanski is a pretty good head coach. Um, I don't think. I mean, he's won 2 Coach of the Years for a reason. I don't think he's ever had a super talented team in Cleveland, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I'm not a big Baker guy. I'm not a Shador guy. I'm not a Joe Flacco guy. I'm not a Bailey Zappi guy. So, I don't think the Browns have ever had, like, a lot of offensive talent. I mean, I guess you did have Baker, Odell, Jarvis Landry, David Njoku, and Nick Chubb all on the offense at the same time. But I don't think Kevin Stefanski has ever like been bad. I don't think he's ever done a bad job. I thought he's always performed to expectation or overperformed expectations on the teams he's coached. So I think Kevin Stefanski is a pretty good coach. I think he's going to get the best out of Bijan Robinson. We've seen what he's done with Nick Chubb. I think structure, I think leadership, I think stability is all going to improve on the Falcons. They kept Ulbrich, who I think is a good defensive coordinator. So I think overall coaching and coordination is going to get better for the Falcons going forward. I think I just think the schematic structure of the Falcons' offense is going to get better. I don't know if Penix plays. Um, I think Kirk Cousins is the better quarterback option at this point, and I think Kirk Cousins with Kevin Stefanski can put together a pretty good offensive unit, and I think Ulbrich um, and that Falcons defense can put together a pretty good defensive unit. So I think they'll be a pretty good team next season. The Cowboys hired Christian Parker to be the defensive coordinator. He's going to come in and probably do the Fangio shell cover four defenses. He's probably going to be, honestly, he's going to be a lot like Eberflus. You just hope he's a better version of Eberflus. I don't think he's going to do anything that's that much different from Eberflus. I mean, Eberflus comes from the Fangio like style defense. That's what he was running on the Bears and the Cowboys. Um, Hopefully Christian Parker is just more versatile and like player dependent or player focused, and he doesn't just rely on whatever scheme he wants to put in place. Hopefully he can try to maximize the talent that's already on the Cowboys. I don't want to say too much because we haven't. He's never called the plays, but I do think it's an interesting hire, and we'll see what happens going forward. The Lions hired Drew Petzing to be their offensive coordinator. I don't love it. I don't think he's the worst coordinator. Um, I thought he underperformed sometimes on the Cardinals. I mean, after Kyler Murray went down the past couple of seasons, the offenses just fell off a cliff. But he also was able to put together like a top 10, or at least a close to top 10 unit with Kyler Murray his first season as OC. And it's like there's not much you can do when you have Jacoby Brissett for most of the season. Um, Marvin Harrison Jr. has been disappointing. I don't know how much of that is on Petzing, how much of that is talent, how much of that is on Marvin Harrison Jr., Brissett, Kyler Murray. I think he's been able to maximize McBride. So maybe Laporte is going to go off next season. I don't know if I love the hire. I don't know if I hate the hire. He's a coordinator. That's about as much as I'm going to say about him. The Packers have hired past Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon to be the defensive coordinator. I think people are being a little bit too down on Jonathan Gannon as a defensive coordinator just because the Cardinals' defense has sucked. But like I said, like previously, talent is more important than scheme, especially defensively. Like, scheme matters, obviously. You can maximize the talent by being good schematically, like you are. Like Brian Flores. Brian Flores is going to get the best out of the talent he has defensively. He's going to maximize his pass rush, and he's going to simplify and make the DB's job as easy as possible. And Gannon probably isn't that type of game changer schematically. But the Cardinals' defense has been maybe the least talented unit in the NFL since he's been their head coach. They haven't had a game-changing talent outside of Budda Baker on their entire defense, and there's just only so much a safety can do. And even Budda Baker is like a really good safety, but he's not like the best safety in the NFL. He's not Kyle Hamilton. He's not Derwin James. He's a really good safety. Their corners haven't been talented the entire time he's been there. Maybe Will Johnson is going to be a good cornerback going forward. Maybe Max Melton is going to be a really good corner going forward in the slot. Maybe their DB room isn't terrible. The defensive line is god-awful. Their linebackers are not talented. They don't have talent, and I'm going to put a lot of that blame on the GM. I guess we don't know how much roster input Gannon has on the Cardinals, or had on the Cardinals. but I'm just going to assume it's the GM because the GM has a job for a reason. Um, and Jonathan Gannon is very multiple. He he's very roster dependent, and I really like that from a head coach. He tries to maximize the talent on his team. Um, and I think the type of defense that he likes to run, he's a lot like Lou Anarumo in the sense that he likes to have like mugged um he likes to mug up the defensive front. He likes to have like 8 people just all on the defensive line, and then he's only rushing 3 people on that play. He likes to confuse the defense. Um, and I think with him on the Packers, he's really going to try to maximize Evan Williams, Edgerrin Cooper, and Javon Bullard. I think those guys are going to be the biggest swing factors on the Packers defense. Obviously, Xavier McKinney is going to be important. Their outside corners are going to be important. Hopefully, Nate Hobbs can get better being healthy for a full season. He wasn't very good this season. Number 25 on the Packers, his name is slipping me. He got a lot of pass deflections, but he has some of the worst ball skills. He is so lazy at the catch point. Like he will have a good coverage rep and then just give up and let the receiver catch the ball anyways. Like he has a bad attitude. He refuses to return kicks anymore because he's too good as a corner. And like he was their cornerback one, so they desperately need to get cornerback. They need Devontae Wyatt to be healthy. They need Micah Parsons to be healthy fairly early in the season. But I think Gannon's going to do a lot of interesting stuff. I expect the Packers are going to force more turnovers than they did this season. I think they're going to try to confuse the opposing offenses. They're going to not blitz as much with Halfley, or at least not as much on third down. A weird thing with Gannon is he's kind of opposite of the typical meta in the NFL, where um, like a lot of coordinators and coaches like to blitz on like third down situations, try to force the ball out as quickly as possible and create a lot of havoc on a third down. Whereas Gannon's kind of the opposite. He likes to play off a bit on third down and blitz more on early downs. So he is kind of a weird guy. He's going to put a lot of pressure on like spot drop defensive player. Micah Parsons is going to be in coverage occasionally. Um, Whoever the edge rusher is to the other side is going to be in coverage very occasionally. I expect them less so because they're like less like in space movers than Micah is. But like if Gary is going to be there, he's going to drop off occasionally. If Van Ness is going to be there, he's going to drop off occasionally. Edgerrin Cooper is going to be on the defensive like lined up in the A gap very frequently in a Jonathan Gannon defense, and it's going to be imperative. And he's going to have to like sprint backwards very frequently. They're going to try. Um, they're going to put a lot of pressure on Edgerrin Cooper to be just an insane mover. Luckily, he is. Also, they're going to put a lot of pressure on like their hook flat defenders. That's why I said Javon Bullard and Evan Williams are the most important pieces. And Edgerrin Cooper are the most important pieces to determine the ceiling of the Packers defense next season. Because all of those guys are going to have opportunity to make game-changing plays basically every single game. And I think they're all talented. I think they're all going to be able to put their imprints on the game like every single game. So I do have some faith that they're going to be able to really raise the ceiling of the Packers defense. They really need to get a defensive tackle and some outside corners. But if they do that, then I really don't hate this hire. I think the defense can still be just as good, if not better, as long as they're healthy next season. If you for some reason decided to stick through the entire video on me or nobody, I do appreciate it. I do love you as a person. I want to gaze deeply into your eyes. I want to feel your pulse at the base of my shaft. And I love you. As a person, as a man. Goodbye.